Some of the issues I'm particularly impressed is that many of you have given testimonies of what you've learned. Somebody said, even me without a degree, I can interview what? Big people. Yes, you need to discover yourselves. Many of the great people you see do not have degrees. I'm not telling you not to pursue a degree. Yes, but if you get a small opportunity, always participate in it. Today, you are a young person. Don't go with what they used to tell you. That for you are leaders of tomorrow. You are leaders of today in your own right. Go into those meetings. When the CEO is calling meetings, you go and participate. And also, don't be selfish and say, I will only go as a community reporter. We have many other youth who are not as empowered as you. Encourage them also to have an opportunity to join those meetings. Let them learn how do we get rightful information. The CEO is a custodian of planning at the sub-county level, at town council level. He is the rightful person you can get information from. Many of you want to get information from people who do propaganda. Kindly, in your service as an emerging leader, based on the truth, always seek facts. Don't report what we call to gamble. Many people have hated Vanamauli. Say, Vanamauli to gamble. In our program, when we train you as emerging leaders, as community reporters, we are encouraging you to base on rightful information. You can get that information from the duty bearers. Am I speaking a lot? No. Oh, you can warn me if you see that really overspeed, because we are many here, and maybe each person has what to tell. But I'm very grateful to see all of you, very enthusiastic, very happy people. And let me promise you that if an opportunity arises, we shall always sit down as a team and get it to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Vitalis, for those wonderful words and for the commitment to keep supporting us to do what we do. And when he says that, I be stronger, you know? Yes, so we really thank you for that. And for now, I would like to I know most of you have been into the program for the last 1 year. I would like, some of our leaders also have been with us throughout the year, and some for more years even. But we are going to just briefly talk about Youth Voices for Development, and what we've actually been up to, what we intend to do, and how we are doing it. So when Bruce talked about the support from the Youth Embassy, we did this pitch, I would say, or proposal, and they thought it was something really great to implement. So one of the things that we looked at was working with young leaders like you. The project specifically targeted young people between the ages of 19 and 24. Anyone above 24, please put up your hand. Okay, so anyone below 19? All right, so I think we have the right group of people that Youth Voices for Development is targeting. And the other thing that also Youth Voices for Development has done or intended to do is to put collaborations with our radio stations. For us at Semport, radio is a deliberate choice. We know that there is a lot of media. We have new media, blah, blah, everything coming up. TV is there, it has been there forever. But radio for us as a community development organization is a deliberate choice that we make when we are designing our programs, because we know that it is still a popular medium. It is still the best choice for our community members to tune in and seek information, but also get their voices heard. So to work with radio is a strategic option for us to do, and also for our communities. So we have worked with 2 radio stations, like I said earlier, KBS FM here in Jinja where we are, and Step FM radio in Bali. These 2 radio stations have given us a great platform to amplify youth voices, but also because the youth are ambassadors in their communities, we in the end got our community voices greatly amplified using the radio platform. We've had responses coming from what the youth leaders have reported. We've had even youth themselves also act on some of the issues that have been raised. And for us, that is what we believe is going to transform the communities that we live in. The other thing that the youth leaders have done this past year is to participate in community engagements. We are glad that most of you, the leaders who are here, have participated in 1 or 2 community engagements that have been held and conducted by the youth in your various communities. And within these engagements, we've seen a number of issues being raised, both by the youth, but also by the community members. And we've had promises from our leaders to address most of these challenges. Our last community engagement, I think, was in Awuyo, and that was the time, that's in Awuyo in Valley, and it happened during the time of the floods. Yes, there were really floods that killed some people, a great number of people there. We had such issues come up. We had leaders promise to do this and that. But it also, I think, happened around the Imbalu season. Yeah, it was Imbalu inauguration. So there are a lot of issues that can be discussed. But we also had people in Nawuyo, I think, raise a complaint about the health center. I think there is something that is being done about that as we speak. Yeah, I get that. And those are the things, the issues that we love to see communities express themselves about, but also to see that the communities are working hand in hand with our leaders to put these things right or to correct their possible. So yeah, and to still our radio stations have offered a great platform, like I say, and a number of youth leaders have appeared for talk shows on these radio stations. We've had several talk shows happen through this year. We've had you speak for your fellow youth, but also on behalf of your community. You've had people calling to support you, but also to relate to the issues that you've risen in these talk shows. So we think this is a great way for us to bring out these issues as they happen. And okay, so I'm going to ask Chris, please, to bring in our guests. Yeah. Please raise up to welcome our welcome. Please get Yeah, we are happy to see you. Finally, we've been waiting for your arrival. Yeah, so please, we can sit. Thank you very much. So we recognize the arrival of Emily Peterson, who is grants officer at the U.S. Embassy, and Peter, who is the youth officer at the U.S. Embassy. They've been very supportive. Peter is just, you can turn and look there. At least the ballet team has met. Either team is, yeah. So the U.S. Embassy has been very supportive in the implementation of this project. And Peter, when you walked in, we were just looking at some highlights for the YouGov project over the last 1 year. And we are looking at the things that we set out to do and what we've done through the 1 year, and also what has happened. Earlier on, we had our youth leaders share some experiences, share their testimonies of what it has been and what it means for them to participate in such a program. We are sure that when we get back to the recording, you'll be you'll be listening to some of those testimonies that the youth leaders have shared with us and how they continue to lead in their various communities. Yeah. So, like I said, I was saying most of you have appeared on these radio shows. You've shared your passions, you've shared your challenges, you've talked about issues that your fellow youth leaders in your communities face, but you've also given hope to others that you are living in your communities and the people that live around you. And this is what we set out to do and that we've done, and we think we can continue to do going forward. And most of all, basing on your testimonies that you were given, one of the biggest objectives of this project is to ensure that our leaders and communities appreciate the role that young people like you get to play in transforming our communities. And to have some of our leaders here with us today is testimony that they really appreciate the role that young people play. We've had some of them speak about it. They have supported you throughout this 1 year on the program. And for us, that is one of the biggest achievements we want to see. We want to see you participate actively and work closely with the leaders in your communities. Take them as mentors and see how they do their things, because you are following in the same steps going forward. You're not going to remain young forever. You have to see that you leave some footprints along your path, so that where we move, we know that you used to pass along this path, and we can see what you've done. So that is a great achievement, that you're able to collaborate, to approach your leaders, which wasn't the case according to what you said before you joined the program, but now it is possible. I like what Emmanuel said, that after participating in the program, he realizes that nothing is impossible. And I think most of us agree with that. Yeah, you saw the spark and you get going. Okay, so to our leaders still, this brief actually was for you. And so, like I mentioned, in and Ginger, but there are also specific areas that we ventured into in Ginger, Kakura, the leaders were here, and Kakura and Budondo. Who is from Budondo? Please put up your hands if you're from Budondo. Good. Kakura? Yeah. Okay, and in Imbale, we are in Namabasa. Can I see Namabasa? Oh, okay. Now we are Great. So those are the areas where we focused this project over the last 1 year, and we are happy that there's something that is happening. Overall, you are in the program, you're 50 of you who have participated in the program over 1 year, and we are glad that we still have you. Sometimes we do programs and at the end of the program, you have like 5 people reviewing. You begin with 50 and you end up with 50. For you, you're here, and it is something that we are proud of, that you kept together and you continue to work closely together to see that your areas are transformed. And yeah, you've had all those engagements and everything that I've talked about. And I think that's it about the brief for the program that we've had with you for the last 1 year. I'll stop here for now and ask if you have any questions, and if our leaders have any questions that I can respond to before we go on to the next item on the agenda. Okay, so it looks like we are good. Not so? Yeah, all right. So at this moment, I would like to invite Frank, who's the manager of Step FM, to come on in. I'm going to really catch you to like 2-3 minutes. Yeah, so that we can try to catch up with our lost time, 2-3 minutes to just let us in what the project is.
Thank you so much, Rosie, for that insight. Our invited guests, the U.S. mission, Symposium, the committee report as well here, protocol observed. Very glad. Hello, Miss. Good afternoon.
Yeah.
You're welcome to this session. My name is Frank Ochen. That's like I've been introduced. I come from Bali, and that's also my workplace. I am the manager of Step Radio. I want to pass credit to Semicode and the U.S. mission for having come up with this kind of engagement to really make sure the youth that actually make up the largest part of the population of this country are considered. Over time, we've seen the youth being looked at as maybe dangerous people in society, sometimes based on the way they dress, what they say, and you find society trying to condemn them. But for the youth who are here today, I call them transformed, because after that training and everything, there's really something great we can be proud of. So when Symposium approached Step FM for this kind of match or collaboration, the doors were wide open, because we're also looking for ways of reaching out to society and improving service delivery. Over time, that's a big priority in Uganda. And when Symposium came on board, we surely felt, since 2 heads are better than one, we surely felt we would achieve. And as I speak now, there's a lot to share. And since the emerging community leaders are here, they will be taking that part also to unveil what they've achieved so far. The trainings went on very well, successfully, just like the NPC said. Out of 50, the number in the house is not discouraging. That means you like what you do, and we also appreciate your effort. Our dear guests, we want to inform you that the youth you see here today have got big stories to tell. Our societies in Uganda have very many issues, like I said. But normally, no one's there to say that out. And with these emerging community voices, the communities are heard. Leaders are being held accountable. Looking back to where I come from, that's Mbale, we've had very many engagements just through this year, where society has improved greatly. We'll talk about the community interface meetings conducted in some of these areas. And mobilization normally is done by this youth to really show you that they are now critical figures in society and their leaders and even members of their societies believe in them. At those interfaces, we invite duty bearers and then the community members, and then they have a chance to share and put heads together. If possible, ask hard questions. Most of these questions directed to the leaders. Answers are good and solutions are solved. Today, Mbale, especially in those areas where these projects are running, Mbale is proud at least to have something in place. And I'm sure the emerging community leaders will have something to share to that effect. Just to highlight, and not limited to this, I'd probably say there is improved service delivery in some parts of Mbale, highlighting aspects like good roads now, healthcare services, education services, because these cries have come up and we've aired them, so the leaders are concerned. We've even seen development partners coming now to work with society. On the side of the media house that I represent, that's Symposium, I must say that there's better and wider news coverage now. We get very many community stories, and that I say thank you to Symposium, the emerging community leaders, the US Mission, and everybody involved in this. This project also helped us link the radio directly to society. Whereas we sit back in our studios and think we are communicating, in this case, we even have a better way of reaching out to our audience, say through the community interface and also through these ambassadors. They're down there and they're showing that there's presence of Symposium in that society. And so that makes us proud. We feel we are doing a great deal for society. Thank you so much. You know, in every aspect, there are always also some challenges, and I don't want to step down before I highlight some challenges, such that we could maybe have a think tank and see a way forward. How do we help it out? Because surely we don't want this project to die. It's a very vibrant one, and I'm sure if maintained, it will have very, very great results for this country. Some of the aspects, possibly, that would be hindering these emerging community leaders execute their work, possibly the highest level possible. I'm not saying they're not doing it, they're doing a lot, but maybe they want to do more. Several times they've asked me about identification aspects, and since they're not radio staff, maybe the radio may not be very quick at giving them the identification cards, because they are called emerging community leaders, at times community reporters. In one of the meetings I had with them, most of the Mbale team, they were asking for IDs, and I was also surprised to realize that for the short time they were trained on media affairs, they also knew what press jackets are. They were asking if we could give them press jackets. So I was really amazed, and I felt it was a great team. So since all stakeholders are here, I'm trying to imagine that by the end of the day, there will be some positive talk to that effect. They also try of gadgets. You know, when they talk of these gadgets, I ask, so what do you mean by gadgets? And they're quick to tell me The world has gone digital. They say the kind of phones they have can no longer enable them to do their work rightly. And they claim that's all they can afford since they're not really on salary employment anywhere. And they keep asking me, is there a way we can be bailed out with smartphones so that really work can go on smoothly? I also keep promising them that not all hope is lost. Let's keep pushing, but it depends on how you do it. So if you work hard work pays. You never know. At one point, we'll have a bailout. I'm sure ears in this house are getting all that right. I hope the solution will be good to that effect as well. Thank you. Even when they ask for smartphones, there are others who I think also try to use the smartphones for maybe their relatives, send stories, but they cry out. They say smartphones are powered by data. So data in Uganda is not at a free cost. You have to part with some money to get data. So those are some of the challenges that I've raised among these others. But so far, so good. So I'm just imagining if these challenges were addressed, then where would we be in the next months possible? I just see everything flourishing in the right direction. I don't want to take too much time here because indeed we're behind schedule. I want to thank everyone who has managed to make it to this occasion. And really, I must say I'm very happy. God bless everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. Thank you, Frank, for those remarks. I thought I would cut you short because I gave you 3 minutes, but you used more. Yeah, but thank you, and thank you for supporting the youth leaders. We really appreciate the support that we get from Step FM and as well NBS, because those are our great platforms that we cherish when we are implementing this project. So we are proud of you also, and we do appreciate greatly the support that you've given to the project. Okay, so I'll just take a look at this program again. Earlier, I told you that we have representation from our board at the same court. Most of you have been in the program, but you haven't met any of our board members. Today, we have our board chair who's here with us, Mr. Matthias. I would like to invite you to say a few remarks, and when you're leaving the stage, I'll still ask you to invite Amy Peterson to address our youth leaders. You're welcome.
Thank you, Kosi. Colleagues, our dear guests, and our grant support team from the US Mission, we really appreciate the effort that has been put into this work with the same core team and the leadership where these youth come from. It's an opportunity for you now to showcase what you have been able to learn. And fortunately, you had a period through which you were able to practice. But the real issue now is about you alone. What are you able to achieve for yourself as an individual? As a group, yes, you've achieved this, but the real issue is you now. The focus is you. I often like to take away something from any training. that will add to me. And to this day, I do something that helps me recall what I wanted to achieve through the training, revisit it midway through the year and at the end of the year. I write down my goal for this training as an individual. Okay? And I would like to see my development through that period. Now, I do a lot of proposal writing and grants seeking, but that is an opportunity to help you learn to write well. As leaders, you often be found to ask, rather being asked to write proposals or concepts. These are new issues that you are going into that give me an idea of what you want to do. Now, learning how to put your words, your thoughts onto paper helps you a lot, okay, in being able to articulate these issues for yourself and for your. And these are the roles that you need to pick your learning a lesson that you picked is that it is now possible. Someone mentioned that it's now possible for them to stand before a crowd like you and speak, which they couldn't do before. Okay, and that is a plus because that confidence building helps you to prepare and also to articulate issues. Think about the issues that you want to say and say them well. Okay, and the other one of the other thing that I liked from the learning that you had is to learn the idea of being able to voice out community issues, identify them, to duty bearers, and the media house. I see that linkage that this project has really worked among you to help improve the point of what? Of livelihood within your community. But remember, you also have to improve your own, okay, as an individual, because leaders are not poor. You always be asked to contribute something or be at a given place. But if you are unable to reach, that makes your effectiveness what? Your effectiveness what goes down because you are not able to reach areas they want you. Okay, so those are issues that you have to work on yourself in terms of learning how to support yourself with issues or with a few projects that can uplift your income, okay, as individuals. Now that helps you to acquire the data that the manager was asking you to talk to help you do this work, but also to move into places that are community issues where they are calling you, okay, because self-code will not be there all the time and to guide you in these places and deliver on those promises that you wrote down that I want to be a community reporter, but also a community leader. But the team that you see behind there, these are your friends. Make them your daily work. At least talk to them every week. They are the team that they are the leaders that identify you. Now, if you lose contact with your leader, if lost contact with the goals and strategies and plans that are made for your area, which you are able to report on. Not so. So, my colleagues, I implore you to work on yourself. This youthful age is a passing moment. The rest of the world is working on skills, character, okay, confidence building for yourself. I would love to see you advance into other programs, and I know from here that if you, where's David Mwanja? Please come here. David Mwanja and his other colleagues, there are three here, are where youth like you. David is now a leader and has joined Semcode into leadership positions. But beyond Semcode, they are very active within their communities, okay? And they have set up self-help projects that are supporting themselves. And I implore you to do the same within your community to support yourselves, okay? David, thank you very much for the work, and you are a living testimony of the first, I think this was the first team. 2012? No. 2017, yeah. Okay, this was the first team, and you see where they are now. Some of them are now even married. So you are also graduating into these areas. So it is an opportunity, ladies and gentlemen, to learn what your other colleagues, to learn what those steps that they have taken and their written path, which makes you anticipate, look forward, plan, and participate. As long as you are not participating in any of the leadership positions within your communities, ladies and gentlemen, my fellow youth, you are going to get lost. So take the initiative to take on the leadership positions within your communities. Now, there's an issue around the parish development model and the operation what? Wealth creation, which is the other program. Emyoga, okay, and which is the other? Youth livelihood programs, okay? Take opportunity, look at what is happening within your community and engage with this. This is where most of the income generation that aims to improve household incomes, rather, is being directed. Participating there, but also report on what is going on. Okay, participate in youth groups that are able also to get something from these programs. Okay, and that is an opportunity for you beyond what Semcode has done. Now, Semcode has given you that platform thanks to the US mission, which has been able to support this program through this year. And we are looking for you. Thank you very much, David Maja. And at this juncture, I would like to say that this is a time to graduate, but also a time to advance. The youth team that David Manja belonged to have participated in other youth development programs, but at this juncture, I would like to also present to the US mission and others that would like to support this kind of engagement, that team now needs leadership advanced programs, okay, which will take them another step, because now some of them are already leaders going to councillorship and participating in elections, by the way. So at this juncture, I would like to present that as a key concern, that these youth that now have advanced or graduated almost a year now, okay, need to advance into youth leadership development programs, which will help create a proper leadership that this country badly needs. We are going away and we are dying, sometimes younger than you, okay, or earlier than we expected. So, and we expect you to take up our positions. Let me leave you with something from the media, where I have spent most of my work in terms of growth, in terms of employment, and in terms of living. Because some people think they can't earn from the media. And that has been sort of propagated by some media practitioners. But if you want to go into the media, you have to get an education to do the things right. Ethics is the key things within the media. We want to report factual information, okay? Cross-check the information before you call your editor that I have this story. Cross-check and talk to the relevant people. In fact, at the media house where I had projects within the Ghana Region Network, we can't expect a story without three sources, okay? And I remember some of you would like to have single source. Always cross-check from the other opposing party what the opinion is. And that's what it takes to build good journalism. We need to grow this country, but we can't build it on a weak foundation. Semcode and the US team have been able to give you these skills. And I implore you to use them profitably to benefit yourself. Thank you. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, our leaders that are hosting us today here at Symposium. I would like to take this opportunity to invite the U.S. mission representative, okay, to come and say a few words, because they have been quite at the forefront of supporting youth leadership within this country. Thank you.
Good morning. Good morning. So I would first like to say thank you to Symposium for hosting us today. Thank you to the community leaders in both Jinja and Mbale who have welcomed this program. It's wonderful to see the support of STEP FM and NBS for joining this Yovode program. And a special thank you to all of the participants who have graduated from this year-long program. Congratulations to all of you. So my name is Amy Peterson, and I'm in the public engagement section of the U.S. Embassy. Today, I wanted to talk to you about three things. A little bit about youth activism when I was younger, so you can get a picture of how the work that you are doing is similar to what young people are doing in the United States. I want to talk about why I like the Yovode program so much. And then I want to share some more resources from the U.S. mission in Uganda. I'm also going to stay with you some this afternoon, and I'm very happy to take questions from you about either what the U.S. mission is doing or youth activities in the United States. So don't hesitate to find me and ask questions. Okay, but first, some stories. So I grew up in Washington, D.C., and at my high school, which is like secondary school, we had a requirement to do community service. It was part of what you had to do in order to graduate from secondary school. And so every year, each student had to do at least 20 hours of community service. And there's many ways of doing community service. Some people would pick up trash on the street, like community cleaning projects. Some people would go to elderly homes and spend time with older people that no longer had families. Some people would do youth coaching programs and help coach a youth soccer team, football, and share their love of sports with young people. And each year I did something different. And I remember one year, I volunteered at the National Zoo. And the National Zoo, protects animals from around the world, but they operate on donations, right? They get only a small budget from the government. And so volunteer support is what is so essential for keeping the zoo alive. And so I helped clean animal cages at the zoo as part of one of my volunteer activities. And then what I noticed in my peers, so the other students at the school, is the students that were most involved in community activities were the ones that got into the best universities. Because that community activism at the young age in secondary school demonstrated that they had the capacity to be a leader when they were older. And so they would write about that experience in their applications to university. And it helped them get into the best universities because they could share this experience. And then when I went to university, it was important to me that the university I attended also valued community service. And my university was called Bowdoin. And Bowdoin had what was called a common good pledge. And every student and faculty member pledged, and you actually had to sign a document saying that I am going to work for the common good, for the benefit of my broader community, not just for myself, but for the common good. And so every year at school, we had a common good day where everybody at the university would do work in their communities. They would identify problems, they would join community meetings and say, we as the university community are going to help with this issue that we identified. And so some years they would do literacy programs for young people. Sometimes it would be cleaning activities. Sometimes it would be, supporting some business. The activities were endless because it depended on what the community, the common group needed at that time. And I think it was one of my favorite parts of being at university was joining in those common good activities. And I remember in my senior year at university, I participated in a program that was doing after-school tutoring for refugees from Somalia and Sudan who had moved to the United States. And the students didn't yet speak English very well and needed additional help to be able to improve their English skills so they could do well at school in America. And so a group of us from university would go every week to do tutoring. And that is part of why I became a diplomat, right? Because I enjoyed working with those students from other countries, and it motivated me to continue providing opportunities for people from around the world to keep improving their skills. And that's what I get to do now at the U.S. Embassy. And it's one of the great parts of my job. So I'm sharing these stories to let you know that the work that you are doing through this program is the type of work that builds a community anywhere around the world. It's not just here in Uganda, but we have to do it in the United States. It's what brings our communities together. It's what helps identify the challenges that any community has, and then come up with solutions of how you can fix them. And you engage with your leaders and you come up with a plan, and citizens can be part of the solution. And what I love about this Yogode program that Sempat has organized is that you are doing that here in your communities. And you have identified the stories. And I'm sorry I missed your presentations this morning, but Prosi and Bruce are very good at sending me updates. So I heard some of your stories before. And I think it's so essential to have young people having those conversations with your community, identifying what are your challenges, and working with the leadership to find how you can fix them. You can't fix all of them, but you need to try. And that's what I hope you all feel inspired to continue doing in your lives, not just as young people, but as you continue to grow and take these leadership roles that we know you will all fill in the future. I also was so impressed by this program because of the connection with the media. Because the work you are doing is great, and it's very good when it happens in your small community. But the impact is magnified when you can share it with a broader network through the media. And I think that's one of the great resources that the media provides any society, is helping identify what are key issues and then making sure that the population is aware of them. And here's different sides of them. And here's voices from different levels of the community. Hearing youth voices, hearing leaders' voices, hearing business voices, academic voices. And the more voices you have in a conversation, the more likely you are to come to an action that will help move an issue forward. If you don't raise a conversation in a public light, it's hard to find any solution. And so I was so impressed when I got to join some students here in Jinja. Who did I see at the radio station? Who did I see at MBS? There were a couple of you. Nice to see you again. And it was great to hear you be able to raise some of your conversations on the radio. And I know some of you got to join Ambassador Natalie Brown at Step FM in Mbale. Who was that? Very good. She loved that. She thought that was wonderful to have a chance to talk to youth like you on radio. And being able to have those conversations is so important. So thank you to the SEMCON team for putting together this program. And we are excited to continue working with SEMCON to do another year of So we will continue working in Soroti and Toro. Yes, to take this model of the program to more youth in Uganda. But I don't want this to be the end of our conversation with you. And so what I want to do now is share some about the US mission and other activities that we are doing. And you may have already heard this through PROSI or other ones, but I think it's important to keep being reminded that there are resources out there to continue your journey as leaders and build your skills in whatever areas you are looking to pursue. So the US mission in Uganda is investing in the future of the Ugandan people. And we want to make sure that every Ugandan child has the opportunity to thrive and live in a healthy, prosperous, democratic, and secure country. And so the US mission overall invests almost $1 billion a year here in Uganda. A significant portion of that funding goes towards public health. Did anybody get a COVID vaccine? Yes. Most likely that COVID vaccine you got was delivered from the United States. We provided almost 18 million COVID vaccines. And for Ugandans that are HIV positive, we provide the ARVs for almost 100% of people that are HIV positive. And we have worked to support the health system in Uganda for decades. It's one of our proudest parts of the relationship and the 20 years of PEPFAR investment in Uganda. But our work is not only in health. We also work in agricultural development, in economic growth, in support for civil society, in support for the environment, climate resilience, support for the illicit trade in human-wildlife conflict and animal trading. And then we, of course, work to support young people and provide opportunities. And that's the office that I work in. And we really try to provide opportunities for young Ugandans to build a connection with the United States, either through programs like this, where you are building your skills. We also have some exchange programs where we send Ugandans to the United States. Has Prosi told you about the Community Solutions program that she attended? Yeah. So Community Solutions is just one of the different exchange programs that we operate. And I would encourage all of you to sign up for the YALI Network, the Young African Leaders Initiative. There are free online courses as part of the YALI Network to build skills in leadership, community development, business, public management, countering disinformation, media training, endless courses. And they're all free and they're online through the YALI Network. And if you are part of that network, you will also receive notices about the YALI Regional Leadership Center, where we do trainings in Nairobi, Kenya for young leaders. The Mandela Washington Fellowship, which is a 5-week program in the United States. And every year we send 24 Ugandans to the United States on that program alone. We have academic exchange programs like the Fulbright program for master's degrees and PhDs and research. We do other types of professional training programs. And we always announce these programs on the US Embassy's website. So if you look at our website or the US Mission Uganda Twitter or Facebook handle, you can get updates on these programs. And now that you have completed this Yovone program, we consider you part of our family. And so if you see opportunities at the US Embassy that you are interested in, you can contact us, either through Prosi, or I will give you my information. My colleague Peter Erki is in the back. You can contact him for Peter's information about any of these programs. And you can share ideas with us. You can apply for grants with us. And the more we hear about your programs, the more that we may be able to support. So I want to encourage you to stay in touch with the US Mission in Uganda. Be connected with us, share your stories as you continue to grow. Thank you. And if you have questions, or I know some of you are budding journalists, if you want to interview somebody at the embassy or learn about a specific program, I encourage you to reach out, because that's what community leaders do. You say, I have a question, I have an issue I want to discuss. Who can I talk to about it? And if you think the U.S. Mission in Uganda is the right person to talk to, the door is open. Come talk to us. We can't always do something, but it is so important to hear from the community, because that always plants the seed of what are the most important issues that are happening. And you can help inform the US government by sharing information from your communities here in this region and what you think is important for us to know. So please don't hesitate to share. With that, I'm going to pause and see first, Rosie, Bruce, are there any things that you would like to ask me or questions you would like me to address before I turn to the audience?
I think we can give the opportunity to the audience to ask, but Bruce, let's see if you have any questions.
Yes, probably you could help to tell the young people that as marginalized people, segment of the community, movements that can change them can only be led by them with advice from elders like the leaders who are here. My question, what is it like in the United States? What is the practice in the United States relative to what our young people here are trying? Thank you, Amy.
Thank you for raising that. Let me see if I can give you a good example. We can talk about women's rights in the United States. So did you know that women in America did not have the right to vote until 1922? No women could vote. Even though in our Constitution, which was from 1776, it said equality for every person in America, but we didn't have equality, right? Equality didn't exist. Women couldn't vote, Black people couldn't vote, immigrants couldn't vote. It wasn't equal. And so why did that change? It changed because women said, this is not fair. And there was the women's suffrage movement, where women stood up and said, we want an equal voice in our communities. And they advocated, they marched, they had peaceful protests to say, we want to be equal citizens in this community. And in order to be equal citizens, we have to have a vote, just the same as every man in the country. And it wasn't until women were advocating for themselves and raising the issue to the highest levels that change happened. And so change happens because people motivate it to. They identify it and say, this issue is so essential. Like the right of every woman to be able to vote. You saw it again with the civil rights movement in America, where African Americans demanded equality. They said it's not right that we don't have the same equality as other Americans. And the movement came from that community to fight for equality. And so significant social change in the United States, particularly towards equal rights for citizens, comes from those communities. And that's why you see amazing leaders like Martin Luther King coming from those communities and encouraging his peers to be the voice that calls for change. So you see that a lot in the United States. I would love to open it up for questions from you all. Thoughts, ideas? You can ask questions about me. You can ask about the embassy. You can ask about America. I'm happy to talk.
Thank you very much. Once again, I am Mutua Christine, a community reporter from Kapia, and that is Ginger. Okay, I just want Madam Peterson, and also maybe we shall find maybe a solution. Yes. We have a challenge that the American Center is in Kampala. And I think if it could be in Ginger and Bale, it could help us. But then you put it in Kampala, so we cannot access. And it has many things that we, the community reporters, can come and really see and read and access many different things. So I don't know. I don't know what we're going to do, but we really need that thing in Ginger and Kampala.
Thank you for your points. Very good and well articulated. So first, I agree with you. I wish we could put an American Center with resources in every community in Uganda. Unfortunately, we are also limited by budget. So I will be honest and say I do not have a budget to put an American Center in Ginger. That being said, I think one of the positives of the COVID pandemic was that we learned that it is possible to do a lot of training and learning and skills development online. And there are places here in Jinja where you can access the internet. Have any of you been to the Innovation Village on Jinja Main Street? Does anybody know the Innovation Village? Okay, is it David? Okay, talk to David about the Innovation Village. There are places where you can go to access the internet. And if you can access the internet, you can access the world. And you can access these YALI courses that I was talking about. You can access American Center programs. You can access Coursera courses. And use those resources to build your skills. Because I agree, we should have them available here in Jinja. You should be able to access them. So I would encourage you to take advantage of those opportunities when you can. We also do want to start doing more American Center on the Road programs, where we bring Americans like me to lead conversations across the country. And so we're hoping to start that in 2023. So maybe you will see us back here in Jinja sometime soon.
Okay, thank you, Madam Peterson. Once again, my name is Friends. As you said that in America, you also do community work. We feel like for us here, actually related to my community. Some of my colleagues, for example, in this news reporting, they're facing some problems, like they lack communication to what form to what the gadgets for getting the news. But it is like there in America that they also are facing the same problems. Thank you very much.
Good question. Sometimes people around the world look at America as one of the richest countries where everybody has everything. Unfortunately, that's not true. And while America is a very wealthy country, how that wealth is distributed is not even. And the industry of the media is dependent on funding. And unfortunately, there has been decreases in the funding available for media outlets in the United States, especially at the community, at the local level. And do you know where do most media outlets make their money? Any idea? I think it's true. Well, I can't speak for Uganda, but in the United States, where do you think they make most of their money? Online, but from what? Advertisements, right? Advertisements. That's where you make most of your money in media, is advertising. And unfortunately, big advertisers have pulled out funding from local media sources. And there's not as much funding available for community-based media. And so we've seen a lot of local radio stations, local newspapers closing. And I think it's a real loss to American communities because you have big national papers like the Washington Post or the New York Times that cover national issues, which are important for every citizen to know. Like, what is President Biden doing now? What are the big issues in Congress? You know, what is the economy across the country? We need those national stories. It's important. But as citizens, what are the stories that are most important to you in your daily life? They're the local ones. And unfortunately, there's been a loss of funding for the local reporters who cover the local issues. And I think that it means that Americans it's almost like we're thinking too much about the big national issues and forgetting about the local issues, which I think is a shame. Because most citizens can't have an impact on the national level politics, whereas you can have an impact on the local ones. But if you don't know about it, then you're not going to be putting your efforts into those local issues. And so I think we are suffering in the United States because of a lack of funding for local media stations. And that citizens do not have enough information about what is happening. And also you talk about oversight, right? Like those local leaders, they have a budget. Where do they spend their money? How do you know? You know because reporters go to the mayor's meetings and report on it and share it and make it public. And if you don't have reporters doing that, then citizens don't know where the local government is spending their money. And then if the local citizens have concerns or questions about it, where do they raise it? And so it needs to be in that local community and that relationship between local media and the community interface with the government, that those changes happen. And I honestly wish we invested more in that in the United States. I don't know if that solves the problem or answers your question, but hopefully it solves. How about over here? Oh, go ahead.
All right. Thank you so much, Madam Peterson. My name is Zaifa, a committee reporter from Bali City. And my question is, during your address, like you say that every year you send people youth to USA. What are some of the qualifications for someone to also apply to pay a visit to USA? Or is it that anyone who is under Semicon is able to visit USA? Thank you so much.
Of course, I invite all of you to visit the United States, but if you would like to go on one of our programs that are fully funded by the US government, you need to meet certain criteria. And the program that I mentioned is called the Mandela Washington Fellowship, which is one of our most prestigious leadership programs, and it's across Africa. We send about 700 African leaders to the United States each summer on the Mandela Washington Fellowship program. And in order to compete for that program, you have to be between the ages of 22 and 35, and you have to have demonstrated leadership experience in either business or entrepreneurship, civic leadership, or public management. So we are looking for leaders in those three areas: business and entrepreneurship, public management, and civic leadership. And when I emphasize that you must have demonstrated experience, what I mean is that you have to write essays about what you have done as a leader. What have you done for your community? How have you shown that you are a leader? Now, all of you who have participated in the SEPCOT program should have some examples that you could share in an application. But you have to think about your work and think about how does my work demonstrate leadership? And not every leader is at the front of the room or commanding something. There are ways to lead that are part of a group, that are a behind the scenes leader, but something where you are pushing an issue forward and you are advancing something beyond yourself. So that's what we're looking for Mandela Washington Fellowship, is most of the people that are successful, they own a business and they have employees, right? They're leading a business. They're innovating a new idea. They're running a community organization. They're a teacher. They're in journalism, leading radio programs. They are working for the government, leading a government program, where you have to have a career, right? You have to have started a career to be eligible for this program, because that demonstrated leadership is really important. For the Yali Regional Leadership Center, Yali RLC, the qualifications are a little bit lower. You need to have some experience, but not as much leadership for that program. So you see people that are ages mostly 20 to 30 for Yali RLC. And then we have lots of different programs that will be advertised on our pages, and each one of them has a different list of qualifications. So you would have to read them to see if you match any of those programs. I think if you want to travel to the United States on any program and you want somebody else to pay for it, you really have to demonstrate why are you going to benefit from that program? Like, what is it that you have to offer? Why should we invest in you? And so you want to be able to articulate what you are going to give back from that program. Like just this morning, I was visiting one of our Mandela Washington Fellowship alumni who's here in Jinja, and she's a nurse and midwife by training. But she wanted to be more than a nurse midwife. She wants to be a leader. And so she started an NGO where she provides motherhood training for teenage mothers. And she teaches young mothers here in the Busoga area how to stay healthy and care for the child. And she's reached thousands of young mothers through her program, using her skills as a nurse midwife to be able to lead young women and encourage them to stay in school, continue their education, and be able to earn money for their family. So what you want to think about is anytime you're applying for a program, how will you use that experience to give back? And the more you can say that in your essays, the more likely you are to succeed.
Thanks very much, Stephen. Leader. I have some few questions. Number one, you talked about the spirit in America, which is very, very true. I was there. But how comes that in our country, it's no longer there? It's completely dead. So as young people, what advice can you give so that we can begin maybe from right now, from here, and go back to it within our communities? I speak with experience as a community leader. Number two, you talked about these community volunteers as young people to go and ask and demand for reports accountability. In Uganda, that is impossible.
It's not impossible.
I am telling you that. No, you know what I'm saying? I've been a leader. I know the corruption. There is a policy, there is an access to information. But even political leaders are not given.
Yeah.
You ask for a report, you ask for accountability, you ask for us, they will do that until the end. So when a media personality, a young person asks, he will never. Most of them have never even seen an access to a budget. Now, what can we do? Because if we empower them, then for us we shall support them to begin from somewhere. We know what. Number three, yeah, here, they know what I'm talking about. Yeah, they know what I'm talking about. Number three. Most of the leaders have turned out to be political grabbers of resources and opportunities for the young people. What can the youth do? Because they're the majority and are being used to vote for these people who are grabbers by reading and by vote privately. One of the things I discovered that all presiding officers, the polling agents, most of them are young, below 25 years. But again, there are people that have destroyed the country, where reading is almost at 80% in most local governments. And the young people are used. And one of the things they know that once someone uses you, will never trust you or will doubt you. Even with your degree, you will never get a job even when you vote for you. Who read the votes? What can we do? Is something that's lacking in us as young people. Number three. I'm talking about experience because I'm writing something on local government and how we are going to deliver because of bad systems and corruption. Now, another question. Most youth have been used during political campaigns to record, beat up people, form gangs, just to beat the voters of the opponents, not even to listen to the views, or whoever can bribe and give them money is given an office without ideas. And that's why after 4 years, 5 years, no development, no ideas, you don't ask them questions because they bribed you and they did. How can we change this kind of mindset? And lastly, most leaders, young people, the government came up with a policy, inclusiveness, where the young people must be part of the leadership. Where they have youth councils, and under youth council, we have youth councils. It is a must. You must have a youth council at all levels. And most of these other offices, we've been a bit keen. We've been voting them, appointing them on different positions, like maybe a minister, maybe a secretary, on different offices. But one of the things I want to assure you, they are at the most ground. Most of them have never even attended, even mobilized their fellow youth to tell them where the opportunities are. Even when the government came up with youth projects, they ended up forming groups that don't exist and get the money than mobilizing their own youth who got them in office. How can we build as youth that will trust themselves and do the right thing to build a foundation for that population? Thank you.
These are very important issues you raise, and thank you for sharing them. And the reason I was pushing back on your comment about accountability is that it's an attitude, it's a mindset, and you can change your mindset. You can. Every student in this room is doing that right now. And so you ask, how can we have a stronger democratic system here in Uganda? You can do that by believing in your system and holding yourself accountable first, right? So all of you now, you are leaders in your community. So are you going to behave ethically? Are you going to act in the interests of your community? And I hope every one of you says, yes, I will. And if you do that and encourage all of your fellow citizens to do that, it helps strengthen the institutions of democracy when citizens hold each other accountable. And I say, I am not a Ugandan. I cannot speak for Uganda. I cannot speak for your system and your politics. But what I do think is important is that citizens feel ownership and engagement. And I hope that through this SEMCOD program, you have seen that citizens can have a small influence. You did have some activism in your community. You did make some changes. You did raise some issues. And you can keep doing that. And I think that's part of what a citizen should do in their communities, is identifying issues and raising them and continuing to advocate for the type of community you want to see. It's not easy, and it is not easy to change systems. And I am not part of that. I'm not part of your community. You are. And so I think to answer your questions, it's It's the attitude that citizens come to the voting process, that they come to the youth council with. What attitude? And are you going to accept when you see people abusing the system? Or are you going to say that is not right? And I think you should, think about what are your values and then hold people around you accountable to those values. You can't change it all at once, but I think it's a question of what community do you want to live in and what do you want to see? Another question?
Thank you so much, madam. My question also is about the Mandela Washington Fellowship. But before I ask that, my name is Emmanuel. I came from Bali. Now, like my brother just asked about the qualification. Yeah, we ask about how one can apply, because I understand to apply for this, you do it online. And there are some of us who are really interested in this, but we don't have smartphones. And there is no way you can access online when you're not having either smartphone or a laptop. Where else can we access this that we can also apply so that we see if we can also apply?
Okay. Access to the internet. Unfortunately, you have to find that. I can't provide it. And I think you need to work on what resources in your community can you utilize to get access to the internet. Because for so many of modern programs, international programs, even within Uganda, you have to be able to access the internet. And I think as community members, part of the work you need to do is build your awareness of where can you access those resources. Can you go to a place like the Innovation Village? Like, can you access a computer there? Is there free internet at any location here in Jinja or in Mbale? Are you sure? Does anybody know of a place you can get free internet in Jinja? Peter.
You have a smartphone, and Wi-Fi. There are very many places that have businesses, hotels, innovation village.
David?
Yeah, the ones there, there are like two which are local supply. They don't work. It's local and some they have in the first one. Just at the mention. So that one of local and city hotel. But they are sure that there's no passwords, but if you log in, they don't work.
Here's another thing you can do. Most restaurants have free Wi-Fi, right? But it has a password. If you buy a soda, water, as long as you're doing something, there's no free parking in this. You should be able to. Okay, to talk about that.
But the bottle of water in those things is that.
How much data will you get from 2 people?
500 MB.
But that's not enough to finish an application, right? So for a bottle of water, you can actually finish an application. Okay, thank you, Peterson. Peter. The names are okay. According to what we are talking about, I mostly work with these people in the communities, but most of them are coming from down in the communities, and it is so hard for these people to move from the grassroots or from the villages to Jinja system. Talk of Kakira, from Kakira to Jinja city or to town, it is 5,000 just coming, and going back is also 5,000. From Londo to town, it is 3,500. Even going back is 3,500. So it may be somehow hard. And even a person who has come to town, if he has come to buy a trouser, the agenda is buying a trouser, then going back. That's all.
So another agenda, the additional agenda of again going to the Wi-Fi, but it may not be there.
And that's where I think you need to think about what is your priority right now? And is your priority to earn enough money to support yourself and your family? Then focus on that. That should be the priority right now. Applying to go to the US is not the priority. Right? What is the immediate need? You have to address the immediate needs first. And when you are then found enough resources to be able to find internet, you can do it. But I think that's why you have to keep the goal in mind. What is your goal right now? And if your goal is to apply to the Mandela Washington Fellowship, then you need to build your resources so that you can get to Jinja and you can apply. I can't solve that problem. I need to be realistic, right? And so therefore, for yourselves, thinking about what is the immediate need and what is the long-term goal. And if you can meet your immediate needs, then you can build towards the long-term goal. I also do want to mention that when it comes to community engagement, something that you can push for is internet access in your communities. There are ways you can push for your community to get a Wi-Fi device, something where multiple people buy a device that provides Wi-Fi. And you can invest in that as a community so that you can have access to internet in your communities. And so if you identify internet access as a need that your community must have, I know there are ways you can do it. It's not easy, but you can. And it's choose where are you prioritizing your efforts. Nobody's going to give it to you for free, but if you prioritize it, you can make that happen. Okay. Do we have time for one more? Or one last one? Oh, one last one. I read the microphone came there. It's no one's off. I'm sorry I came in late. So I didn't attend the whole session, but at least I've been with them on ground. I've been with MDS, and we have had event activities. I'm called Nango Maria Deborah, Community Development Officer, a social worker by profession. And being a social worker, our aim is all about humanity, helping hand. What is social work? It's a helping profession. Now, even when you're helping, you need to help yourself. If yourself you're not happy, you can't help others. If you're not empowered yourself, you can't empower others. You can't even move around to educate what we are now here because you're not empowered. Now, what is my talk? We have heard what I said, how they work in US, what they do as youths. What are they doing to encourage themselves to make sure that they are helping others? But of course, before they do that, they are first help themselves. You begin by volunteering. This is also helping yourself. You're seeing this love of working. Then later you're going to move and say, now let me help so and so. After me knowing what to do. As a community development officer, he has talked at the political head. He knows what happens in politics. He has been there and he knows what happens in local governments. I'm going to say this. As a local government or a technical person in the local government, who is under the Minister of Gender, taking charge of youths, it's a special group. We have the youths. I can talk of disability, I can talk of the elderly. Therefore, we talk as special people in the community. Youths. Now, today we are here for the youths. What are we having as youths in our minds? Most of the youths are asking questions here. Are asking questions that have failed in their life. As them, they are afraid and they are what? They are failed.
They are now looking for options on how to reach out or on how to benefit also in their lives.
Yes.
They are asking of how to go to what? To America. Yeah? And she has told you, is America the immediate need right now? No. In your back at your mind, as you're thinking of going to America, what is forcing you to go to? Not so. You were going there not to, let me say, not going there to become a leader or to study. If I'm looking at the community I'm working in, you don't. They are going there because they need what? They think when they reach in America, the world, the life must have changed. It's going to change immediately. That air will just make him or her change. So change the big hand of the Lord. But this is not the thing. First, work on your mindset. How do you work? When you're done with how do you work, when you look at her process of reaching USA, she told you have to first make your career. That's when they can trust you to be where? They don't want people to be thieves on the streets there because you're going to a meeting. You disappear from a container or those strangers. From when they're looking for you, you're in the toilet, you've disappeared, the flight comes back, you're not there. But when you leave this place and you know what you want in your career, what you're built behind here, you always have a mindset to come back, to work and inspire the rest to live where? Behind. As the government of Uganda, they always give us grants that are supposed to serve in the community to help empower community members. But the challenge we have, these grants come, especially when we are approaching what? Elections. And now when they come, the youths, like you say, are used. When they hear these things in yoga, this, it is talked about, punishment is talked about, the projects come, elections are now what? Over. When they are over, this project comes with a fee. How? At the end of the day, you're going to pay for the paperwork, making paperwork. At the same time, like they shall say, you have to go for internet for you to get what you want. Even here, you need to photocopy everything that you're submitting. And that is what? Money. And that's how you are failing to join those grants. Because at the end of the day, applications cost money. But the grants will be there. And then there are those youths who have the capacity to receive the money. He also manipulates the fellow youths, because it's about a group. Make a group. After making a group, we make which project. They think of a project. We shall make chicken, we shall make figures, we shall do this. And you see a very nice project coming up. They make a budget. The moment this money is received, even before it's given to them, they even go to hotels. This one who had the capacity to bring the money to do this paperwork, has to call now the ones who know to talk, to see. Remember, I put my money here. Yes. How much? He removes his, because he invested. Now we are a group. The project is how much? 15 million. I've removed how much? 3 million. Now the money has begun what? Reducing. When they look at the budget, you have to do the shelter. One pig is maybe 50,000 or 100,000. The target is not there. Now let's do this. You can wear your pig at your home. You may go and wear. Everyone takes how much? 500. Okay. Take 500. They now divide the money. It's not yet in their hands. It's still on the account. When the day comes for you to supervise, to see where this project is going to be. Really, you'll find them. You will not even disappear. You'll find the place. They will go and hire. They'll go someone's farm and what? And they hire an empty structure. They're not sleeping, they are awake. Every day their mind is running. But why is it running like that? They don't want to work hard, putting in energy. At least they should use their brain to manipulate. So when you read there, you find the structure, you can authorize this money. The first month of the project, the first month, or even deposit, you have begun returning, recovery. You're returning yet. The project is not even already reliable for to be sustained. You're already returning the money. You're supposed to do it within 3 years. You've done in 1 year. But this money they are bringing is one pending. They have eaten all the money. What was left on the account, what they are bringing and doing what? So, what you need to encourage these youths that will train here, because they are going back down in the community. As I said, I can't move around, but they can do that. They are being trained. Please, we are asking you to begin by empowering yourselves by the grants that are around. Formulate these groups through the education you got it here, then try to do the exemplary work that they're supposed to do. That's when other youths can see from your activities, and this will help us to get our.
Thank you. I think we need to let you end here. Morgan, you say please? No. In seconds, because I think Morgan just wants to say one thing before you can go on.
Thank you, Madam President. First and foremost, my name is Morgan Grace. I'm also a community reporter just like you. We started it way back in 2017. We came from the villages whereby no one knew that we could be here today. So my request to the US Embassy, the people you're seeing here today, we are struggling to see that they become leaders. That's the main aim. Because on this week, when we had the speeches from our former leaders, the politicians, it means that the Ugandan leadership is in a mess. So there is a call to see that we build a realistic generation that has the patriotism, the love for their country. Not building leaders that are going to blame themselves. So these members had a lot of issues, but we were looking at those issues as minor. Those issues that each and every member here has spoken about is really crucial. And those are the issues that our leaders are neglecting. And we are ending up being called a messed up generation. As you heard, the politicians use us, and it was said by a politician. The CDO, they think we don't understand anything that deals with accountability. That is their responsibility. So, as a youth, I call upon your support through Semicode. One, to help us, enlighten us on issues about the policies of our country. That is one. Then two, through Semicode, you can still give us more trainings in leadership, as many as they can. Lastly, when we talk about the issue, as we are standing here, some of these youths have never had a chance even to drink on this bottle of water. they are taking it from here. What does that mean? Them accessing, they need the opportunities. The opportunities to go to the US are not for people from Kampala. The opportunities to enjoy the Mandela leadership trainings are not for people in Kampala. So you coming to the grassroots, it means we need your assistance. We believe Semicode, through Semicode, we can get at least group MiFis for these people. Through Semicode, these people can get funds to help others in the villages to access the internet from their phones that the US Embassy has provided. Through Semicode, we can still open up internet centers that can help young people that we are trying to help from here, but because each and everyone here has over 10 people behind him or her. So it means that if you help this young person here, there are very many other people you're helping in the background. Thank you.
It's inspiring to hear all of the motivation and desire that you all have. And I think it is that energy that will carry you forward. We can't solve all of the problems, right? But the first thing to solving them is identifying them. And you're doing that through this program and with each other. When you identify it, you can keep working with the partners in your communities for solutions. And I believe each and every one of you has the power to do that. So thank you for hosting me right now. I believe we're going to take a break, and then I'll stay here this afternoon so we can keep talking. Yes.
Thank you so much, Amy. Thank you for the time, for taking those questions, and for giving us hope. I know the young people have so many questions that they would ask from now till evening if we give them the opportunity. But we cannot do that. We thank you so much, and please, if you can take a seat, and then we see how we proceed with the program. A big hand clap for Amy once again. And I want also to thank our leaders for bringing out those gaps. You know, sometimes you help us identify where the gaps are, and then we pinch ourselves and say, yes, I think we are on the right track. If we are empowering the young people and the leaders are here, and also raising a few concerns or lamentations, to say the least, then I think we need these collaborations to ensure that we are solving the big problem that we have in our country, but also empowering our young people to engage meaningfully and to speak for our communities. I think that's what we need to do right now. Sit back, think about what we can do best and how we want to do it. And after that, we shall be flying. Not so? Yes. All right. So I'm looking at the time, and it's coming to 2. We really have to see how we can move forward. I want us to agree that we can ready ourselves for the next speaker, who is supposed to be coming on in 15 minutes. She's going to be online, and she has marked that time. I don't know what I can say, but she's a very good timekeeper, for me to say the least. And we wouldn't love to keep someone online waiting for longer hours if we say we break off now. So I would like us to agree, it's a kind request, that we stay in here, prepare her online, and then she'll speak to us. Then after that, we can break off for lunch. It is okay. It is okay. Okay. All right. So, yeah. So what we can do, I'm going to request one of you to come over here, give us one energizer as we prepare to have our guest speaker online. Just show up. Just show up. The energizer here. Yeah. She will use her mouth. She's very loud. Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you.
When we have some time, we have some time to get the space. We are going to dance. You're going to first listen to the song. Then you approach. Listen to the song, you will see the guest child. Then you can act together. The song goes, I want to be your friend, a little bit. I want to be your friend, a little bit. I want to be your friend, a little bit. I want to be your friend, a little bit. Yes. As I said earlier, you first get the person because you're going to I'm like that. You should get the pattern. I hope you're going to act with you. Okay? All right. Okay, get your friend I'm talking about. Adam has to find here. And there's some of good. Listen to the song for the last time, then you're going to see the picture. The song goes, I want to be your friend, a little bit. I want to be your friend, a little bit. I want to be your friend, a little bit. I want to be your friend, a little bit more. All right, let's do it for the last time, and let us be serious. Okay? Yes. The song goes, I want to be your friend, a little bit. I want to be your friend, a little bit more. I want to be your friend, a little bit more. I want to be your friend, a little bit more. All right, you can take a photo, please. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you for that beautiful invitation. I usually want to ask did you learn from that? David?
Well, thank you very much. The message was so that I had to back this
They come together in unity, they can transform their community.
Yeah, I can use my mouth. Okay, the energizer was a bit tricky because it needed creativity. Whereby you first use this hand, you have to make sure by the time she begins, you have to turn with this hand. And the other people have not done that.
That is the truth.
So what was the lesson? What was the lesson?
It really opened my mind. Active with my colleagues.
You have to be active with your colleagues. Is there anyone thinking about something else? We say me, and this thing happens. Yes, Christy.
I've realized that this group is very immediate, energetic, and really know that to be a friend with yeah, that's what I've done.
Yes.
I don't think I'll do. Okay. And I don't think she'll give me the right information.
So you have to build that kind of rapport with somebody to be able to engage productively. Okay.
Oh, thank you. For me, what I learned I saw jumping between the
Yeah. I saw someone, I guess.
She's first grade for the Southern State. And I'm first grade our the community is there, you will be working. My office, when you have created the environment for you, will be easy for you. I say that Lawrence taking our information is true because the environment is not anybody beautiful. So to give you the information, so
Okay. Matthias.
Thank you very much. What I learned from is that you can't get things right the first time. We had first to go through what it takes to have this activity done, and then we did it better the next time, which means that your effort cannot be as super as you try to do this kind of reporting within your communities. But as you go along, you perfect your skills better. Thank you.
Thank you. Bruce?
Sure, thank you very much. Because from this energizer, I've learned that certain requests can be rejected. I saw Matthias struggling to tell somebody you're supposed to press this side. Don't fear. You are on the right track. If you want to achieve something, don't fear if at all you fail. Keep on insisting until you get it. So the energizer was really, really.
A negative lesson. It is true. We persuaded. I tried to persuade that to come this side, but the other will say, "You know, you're fresh." But on the other side, the people who made it more as now fun. They end up stopping to do the right thing, but having fun. So in the community, you may end up not to do the right thing, but just to waste your time. Then another funny thing that as we were singing, that I want you to be my friend. Some people, the mind was almost telling them, I want you to be my lover.
How is it?
The reason as why Yusuf was asking the person who wrote the song, that am I supposed to the person who because I was marked out.
Yusuf, is that true? I wanted to really verify that because you don't let somebody speak for you when you're there. Was that what was in your mind? Okay, all right. Is there anyone who wants to share one last one? Oh, please.
I also learned that in a community, everyone needs each other.
Exactly. We need each other. And that's a very big point to wrap up this session and our learning points from our energizer. And I think whatever everybody said is actually correct. We need each other. You need to create rapport to engage productively. Because if someone had just come and rubbed you and said, let's begin jumping around, would you? No. But it was a very smooth way of letting you in, getting to know you, and then later on, we can actually jump around. After we've known each other and we've all accepted that we indeed want to be friends. So, yeah. So,
Just in a few seconds, I want to emphasize the point that the community understand. You are dealing with future realities and try to give their brains a little bit more. As I told you earlier, the custodians of the rightful information that you need to change society are the duty there is. Don't bring bad alliances that will see politicians against the officers or vice versa. Always be a little. Somebody's friend, a little what? A little more. Get the right information. That's very important. Based on facts, not fiction. Don't report fake things. The world is fighting with fake what? News. We don't want that. We are looking at community issues. So let us build this. We build this alliance by being a friend a little bit more. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Bruce, for that wrap up. I think it gives us really some good insight into how we need to engage, how we need to get along, and how we need to keep leading. You know, to lead, you need to connect with others. That's how we lead. Otherwise, if there is no connection, then you will be alone. Yeah. So thank you once again for the energizer. You know, thank you for letting us reflect on it. And like we've always told you, whenever you come across information for this matter, sit down, read it carefully, take it in, reflect, and let yourself know how it impacts you. Don't just come across information, in this case, if we relate to our energizer. When we were jumping around, maybe we never thought how this would actually impact on us after reflecting on just a small game. But that's what we should do in our everyday life. Even when you meet someone and they say hi, don't just look away. Look at them, see how they're dressed, see how they're walking. Yes, because you may be just walking past somebody that they're looking for, and if they ask you what they were putting on, you even don't know, just because you didn't pay attention. But we should be critical thinkers. We should think critical about things that we come across, information that we come across, people that we interact with. In that way, we make better decisions. So about right now, I'm going to introduce our next speaker. It's now a 2:15. And Agnes is online. Yeah, some of you have met us, some of you have not, but it's a great honor for us to have Agnes Igoye, who is going to speak to us about leadership in this new era we are as young leaders. And Agnes is the regional migration expert to 8 member states. And those are countries based at Intergovernmental Authority on Development, Secretariat. Prior, Agnes had served over 20 years at Uganda's Directorate for Citizenship and Migration Control. That's at the Ministry of External Affairs, among other roles. As commandant, Uganda Immigration Training Academy from 2017 to 2021, and Deputy National Coordinator, Prevention of Trafficking in Persons from 2019 to 2022. If I'm going to read this profile, it is so long. Yeah, for those of you who have interacted with Agnes, you know that she has done amazing work. One of the things also that she has done is that she's a mentor. She's one person I personally look up to, that I've interacted with, and that has shaped the way I look at things in one way or the other. But the other thing is also that Agnes is actually a board member of Symposium. So we are so lucky to have Agnes be part of us, be part of our vision, and be part of our supportive structure. The other interesting thing also that you may want to know is that she's an alumni of many US Department of State funded programs, including Fulbright and many others. So I'm sure you're going to be interacting with the right person. People have been talking about going to the US and so on. Maybe she could mentor you into that. But she also runs a youth mentorship program that has seen most of her mentees progress highly and join most of the prestigious programs in this country and abroad. So I'll take this opportunity to welcome Agnes Igoye, who's going to be speaking to us online.
Wow, thank you very much, Prosi. I hope I can be seen and I'm audible enough. Thank you for your very kind introduction, and especially for really enabling me and inviting me to speak to our youth today about youth leadership in the 21st, century. It's such. I wish I was a youth during this century. I just wish, because you can just imagine how many tools you have. When we are growing up, it used to be post office. You send a letter, you don't even know that it has arrived, but you have now so many tools with you. And I'm told I have to align my talk today on the theme of the day, which is enhancing youth leadership through media and information literacy. But first of all, I want to congratulate you. I mean, you must be so lucky. I mean, there are so many youth in this country. You are the majority that we have. And 50 of you have been able to be skilled and have knowledge in such critical subjects. And just listening to you and what impact you're already having in your community, the skills you've attained about community reporting, effective youth participation, leadership, and communication in this digital era are skills every youth must have to be able to be an effective leader. Because yes, you are leaders of today, not again that, of tomorrow, because you are actually our majority, right now. And through those skills, you have the capacity even to change public opinion. When you write them well, you have the capacity to change, and effect policies. And I want to thank the trainers, SEMCO leadership, Prosi, you and your team, for such a great initiative. I appreciate the local leadership, the community leaders who are with us in the room, and those who are, out there, the partners, Step FM Radio, NBS, FM Ginger. And I want to thank the American Embassy. Thank you for all these support programs. As Prosi talked earlier, I'm a beneficiary of the Hubert Humphrey program. That was 2011. When I did my Hubert Humphrey, which is under the Fulbright at the University of Minnesota. I specialize on counter-trafficking, human trafficking, policy, and prevention. And through those skills that are acquired, I think I must be, proud about the people who have supported me, because I've been able to enhance them. My specialty is mainly on counter-trafficking. Even before I came to, Djibouti, I've been doing media briefings, every Monday, since 2020. And to all our young people, I've been hearing you talking about, USA and all that, but I want you to know that you're already effecting changes in your community. You can go anywhere in this world as long as you remain focused. I keep reminding young people that be so relevant in your community that no one can afford to ignore you. People will see what you do. You don't even have, even the scholarships you're talking about, somebody will reach to you. And even because there are so many alumni out there, and alumni are all the time looking for people who are effecting change in their communities. I keep telling young people, some of them who ask me, oh, you met so and so, such and such a famous person, how do I meet them? You have no business looking for famous people. They should be the ones looking for you. Personally, I don't look for them because they look for me. Because you make sure you're so relevant and you're doing what you want to do every day. You wake up every day. And that is what drives you, because people notice. And so don't be worried, about, other things, as long as you just focus on the things you want to do. And I also want to, tell you that, in the years I've spent, especially utilizing some of the skills that you've learned, is that I've learned a few things, which I hope I should share with you, today. And I hope that moving forward, you find them beneficial as I've learned through the years. Making briefings, to the media, which means as a PRO, engagement, with the media, with different stakeholders, with community leaders. And I want to let you know that, the lack of information or misinformation destroys lives. And a lot of misinformation is also transmitted through social media, where the young people are mostly active. And some of this misinformation is transmitted by young people. You've seen a lot of stereotypes, for example, where even communities are affected. You've seen people stereotyping about different tribes, that the Basoga are like this. People reporting, about only bad things that come out of your region. For example, you've all heard how they talk about Basoga having jiggers. we know that, in Busoga, they have such a rich, community and a lot of good things happening in your communities, but people concentrate on only the bad things, those stereotypes. And the reason I'm actually speaking to you via Zoom right now, that I'm not in Ginger, is because when Ebola strike, when they talked about Ebola, striking in Uganda, so many people went, especially on social media. You'd think that the whole of Uganda has Ebola, and so many people have canceled meetings. We can't hold some of our meetings in Uganda, so people are preferring, because I'm a migration expert to 8 countries. So we are now going to different other countries, because other delegates will say, no, we can't go to Uganda because there's Ebola everywhere. Because people concentrated, on just reporting. Yes, we know that it is there, but like that responsible reporting is important. And that's the same thing that happens when you're reporting on the different subjects, or as a youth leader. When you don't rely on facts, and report responsibly, those are the implications. So those implications have a big impact in a bigger community, or even to Uganda. You'll find people canceling, their trips to come. So that means tourism goes down, which means that we cannot benefit, from many things that would have happened if people came to our country. And so responsible reporting is very, very important. And we all have an ethical duty not to make matters worse, not to jump into bandwagons, avoid sensational stories. I'm sure they've already taught you about that as well. We should never distort reality. We shouldn't, for example, get excited about likes because you want many people to view your post. You've seen many, young people even going nude and posting pictures so that they can be famous. I heard, many of you are talking about the things you've benefited out of the program. Some of you said you're now famous, and I'm glad you're famous for the right reasons, because people are not famous for the right reasons. And for us now, with the skills and knowledge, don't let it get into your head, that's what, they said, that pride should be like the pride of reporting and effecting change in your society. Not the pride which keeps telling people, do you know who I am? I'm now a reporter. So you had better, look at me differently. I heard some of you talk about you're now the voice of the voiceless, very, very critical. I like that you're getting that confidence and taking leadership positions even in your community when I was listening to you speak. And we also live an era of, where people are quick to forward messages, depends on what are you forwarding. We should always be keen, not to hurt, vulnerable populations while doing that. I also want us to know that words have power. I'm sure you've already known that through your writing. So while speaking and writing, you have to constantly know the meaning of words. Some words are legally defined and others, are not. but I want you to make use of your dictionaries, your glossaries, legal frameworks to know the meaning of words. Why do I say that? Because I work in the counter-trafficking world, for example, and there are some words people use. I'm sure you all heard words like, I use the word domestic worker instead of house girl. So the word house girl basically is these days it's such a demeaning word. When you hear house girl, you hear like you're talking about somebody who's lost, killed, even in our own homes. When you say house girl, it's like, you know, the person is relevant, deserves to be paid less. And so I made it conscious approach that, you know, call them domestic workers, because we all know the value you put to people. So be mindful of the words, you know, we use. If your wording is not clear and it's not understood, your capacity to report accurately and effect change will be weakened. And in getting our stories and news, facts, of course, facts and figures are also important. Don't just generalize. And I know you've already been taught on how to use the photos and all that, and the general principles, you know, of ethical reporting and using all these tools, the issues of being accurate. And I also want you to let you know that you also have to be skeptical, because when you're going out, you know, reporting, make sure that you also capture some of those conversations, because sometimes people can be pressured to deny, to deny that they didn't give you the information. So be careful. I remember one time, one of my bosses denied me in a meeting. I don't know whether you watched this, because I remember going publicly on television, not very, very long ago, when I was reporting about recruitment agencies, who are some of them who are involved in human trafficking. They are directors, and some of the agencies which had been deregistered. And because I kept, you know, the evidence on what I was talking about, because I verified with the Ministry of Gender. I even talked to the people. I said, okay, I'm going to do this. You know, one of them said, oh, why did she say this? And I said, no, I'm not the one who told her, you know, to report. But, you know, I stood by my words, because I'm like, okay, if these agencies are involved in doing work like this, then I need the public to know, so that they don't go to them. And there was evidence, and there was even people going to court. So I didn't want to keep quiet about that. So when you're out there reporting and effecting, I'm sure you're going to, you know, step on some people's toes, but you have to be conscious and knowing, you know, that, you know, it is the truth, but you also have that backup when you're, especially when you're writing and talking about sensitive issues. And of course, I'm sure they've told you about being balanced, you know, views of both parties. I know issues of politics, for example, can be, you know, you can be involved in one political party vis-a-vis another. And if you're not balanced in your reporting, then it can become a challenge. And of course, being impartial also in the process is very, very critical. I also wanted to touch today on the issue of taking care of your physical and mental health. That is very, very important. Especially be prepared when you're going on to traumatic assignments. I speak out of experience, because when I'm dealing with survivors of human trafficking, I listen to so many stories, and I meet so many people who have gone through a lot. And many times I have to be conscious that I have to be healthy and take care of my mental health to continuously be, you know, effective, because it is really, really critical, because our communities need us, you know, alive and well. And now you have a team with you. You have your fellow colleagues whom you're seated with, people whom I hope that after here you continue to be friends, at least in the profession. There are some projects you can continue to work collectively. And don't wait for other people. Don't wait that, when the program is finished, you're done. Make sure that there's continuity to it. I mean, you are the lucky ones that you've been given those skills. So it is very, very important that you put them to use, train others, but you can create so many programs and so many projects to effect change in your own communities and even beyond. And luckily enough, of course, there are so many, platforms to tap into, not just community radios or television. I know there's the web out there. Of course, you have social media on your fingertips. I'm sure all of you know how to use social media. You have videos. There are lots of apps, but there's also animation. Make sure that you're continuously learning, because sometimes animation helps even where, you don't want vulnerable populations to be identified. So having those skills becomes very, very important. And of course, the field you are in right now is a field whereby you have to engage in continuous learning. Continuous learning is a must. You must read, and read. You must know your subject. If you're writing a story or speaking, you must know your subject very well. You must know what your country is doing on that subject. You must know what is in the region. Uganda is part of regional blocks. I hope you know that. The East African community, there are so many frameworks in the region. Very, very important. Widen, your knowledge. There is Intergovernmental Authority on Development. Those are 8 countries. Know what are the frameworks surrounding, the things you're talking about. Then also internationally, so that you have a wider approach, to your subject. So read
Hello.
widely.
Hello.
Yes, please.
Kindly pause a bit. We are reconnecting here. The connection had gone off.
Okay.
Okay. She's waiting. Yes, it has connected. I'm opening Zoom again. I'm going to reconnect and then you can. Agnes, we are back.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. I don't know at what point I went off, so that I know where to start from.
You were off for like 15 minutes, 15 to 10 minutes.
Okay, so I don't know where. All right. I think I was maybe by that time emphasizing the point that, you know, as the youth of today, you have really so many platforms to tap into as you lead. You have access, you know, to the web. You have access to social media, making sure that you're using it responsibly. You have access, you know, to the radio programs like the ones in your community, and you must learn how to pitch. I had you. I think I was hearing. I think when you're saying, "Oh, you keep writing things, you know, to the editor, and your work is not read." I want you to think even beyond the people you've been working with today. That your articles can go beyond, you know, beyond Uganda, and you must learn how to pitch and to know that not every time that you pitch to an editor, you know, for example, whether it is a news, that they'll accept you, because there's just so many people trying to pitch their stories, you know, across. But there are so many platforms where people will pick your story. It also depends on, for example, whom do you follow on Twitter, for example? Are you following, you know, media houses, you know, the journalists and people like that? Are you tagging along, you know, people who are doing similar work that you do? How are you exposing yourself? I'm sure you've learned all this. So continuously publishing or talking about the work you do gets people to know who you are and to continuously pitch. It's not that every time they'll keep accepting your articles and you know, but eventually, as you continuously learn your craft and become an expert in your work, people will start paying attention and listening. It also comes in the quality of your work, because if it is you know, quality of your stories, and if you're doing them in an ethical manner, you're working collaboratively even with your community leaders, because they'll know, and also to know how your government works. I don't know what happened. I went off a bit. Okay, I'm back. I don't know why it is the connection is misbehaving. And yeah, like I said, you know, reading widely relevant blogs, you know, government newsletters, because also know how your country is moving. We have the national, you know, plans and all that. And so I know that, you know, the network is jumpy, but I also want to hear from you. I know Prosi had talked about a Q&A. I don't want to, let me stop here for a while so that I get more maybe in your questions, and also to encourage you, just like the EU Embassy said, you know, take advantage of US, you know, programs, but also to let you know that's not just the US Embassy that has programs. There are also programs to other countries and even in the region. And so just widen to make sure that you know what exactly you want and how to progress. And the good thing is that you have a lot of mentors and you know, people around you who are ready to support you, you know, as you move forward. So Prosi, maybe let me end here so that our young people can have questions, because I can see the time is going, so that I don't go on. I thank you.
Oh, thank you very much, Agnes. Yeah, so let me put the hands up and then I'll pass the microphone.
Just a second. Agnes, can you hear us very well?
Yes, I can.
So you'll have to use the microphone. Christine,
thank you very much, Madam Agnes. Once again, my name is Mutua Christine. I'm a community reporter from Kakira, and that is Ginger. So you've been talking about renting. You say that even if you rent, it's not that we can only just end in one place. So you say that even if I rent maybe my asset, it can help me go to other places. But you talked about getting registered on Twitter. So some of us are not on Twitter. I don't know. Which other ways can we do so that our ratings reach some other places in the country or outside the country? Thank you very much.
Okay, do I first respond to that, or are we taking more questions?
We can say like 3 questions and then you'll answer.
Sorry?
Okay, thank you, Madam Agnes. For the example of my parents, University. Madam, I did understand the question, the term. We were talking about physical and mental. Okay. I did understand.
Okay, I didn't hear properly. I just heard, you didn't understand physical and mental?
Physical and.
Oh, mental health. Okay, okay.
You can respond to, okay, one more question, then you can take all of them what you do.
Thank you very much, Madam Agnes. I'm still in one here. For leader. Well, with my experience, some community leaders have been rejected by leaders. They see them as enemies because they report sometimes facts, and then the system doesn't want people to report facts. How best can you analyze it? Then number two, in some situations, some community reporters are bribed not to say the right thing, and then they communicate the wrong thing. Do you think it's the right thing to do?
That's an allegation. It's okay. You know, reporter. Okay, you can check those questions and then we proceed.
Okay, I didn't hear that. Sorry.
Like you respond to those questions.
Oh, okay. For those where I need more clarity, I'll ask. So Christine said she's not on Twitter. First, I think it's important to support people so that they log in. Twitter is a very good is a tool, is a social media tool. Sorry, somebody had was calling. Twitter, I mean, social media is not just WhatsApp and Facebook. Just a minute. Sorry, guys, let me just disengage this. Just a minute, sorry. There are so many social media platforms out there. It's not just WhatsApp and Facebook. So Twitter is a good tool, to have. So if you're not on Twitter, please get support and get into that, because in Twitter you can follow so many people. There's also there's also LinkedIn, to be there, explore. You can also create your own blogs. Don't wait for people. If your story is not going to be captured elsewhere, you can strategically put your story out there, and people look out for you and get your story. So very, very important. Somebody talked about the physical and mental health. Yes, as you continue reporting about your communities, and you'll come across stories which can also affect you in a way. The kind of work, the working hours, the stresses involved. So which means you have to take care of yourself. I was giving like an example. I work on issues of counter trafficking. So I meet survivors of human trafficking, where I'm hearing stories of sexual exploitation, and they'll tell you how they've been sexually exploited. You'll meet a young man, for example, who has been sexually exploited and has contacted, all these, diseases. So some of those things can affect you. So you also have to make sure that you're in a good state of mind. And sometimes you're going to report on traumatic events. I know of, a colleague, somebody in journalism, when the bombings of Kampala happened, he took pictures of the people who died during the suicide bombings, and it affected him, his mental health. So he needed to seek, help. Don't act as Superman or Superwoman. Constantly check, and make sure that you are well as you continuously, report or do your community work. I don't know whether I heard properly, but somebody was saying that, sometimes the system, ignores facts. I mean, facts are facts. It catches up with the people, because when you're reporting facts, things can be verified. So you can't ignore them because you have the evidence, on them, and you're reporting. And sometimes you even have people, that's why when you're telling, that's why you see that when they're telling stories, human stories are also important. You'll find people talking about their communities and talking about people who have been affected, by those facts. So those are facts that you cannot easily deny. On issues of bribery, of course, that is, that's a generalization, because I believe that the people in this room right now, that the stories you're telling and all that, you've not been bribed. So if you have been, then you have to check yourself, because it will catch up. It will catch up with you. We've seen this happen, but we've also seen that we've also seen it destroying lives as well. So we have the ethical. You have to be ethical when you're doing this work, and if you want to effect change, if you want that respect in community, and it's the mindset, is the attitude, towards what we care about, to know that what you're doing will impact, is good for our communities. So anything about bribes or being unethical, catches up with you in the long run. But to also let you know that it affects, communities in which we live. I don't know whether I heard it all. I don't know whether there's anything else I have not responded to, but that's what I was able to hear from my side.
Thank you very much, Agnes. I would not love to let you go away without talking about one of the issues that has been pending lately. Some of our colleagues who come from communities, like they come from, who are returning from.
I'm hearing an echo, so I've not heard. Prosi, can you repeat that for me, maybe?
I'm going to repeat. Is that okay now? Yes. Okay, now some of our girls and boys are returning from the Middle East with horrendous stories around issues of exploitation that we have mentioned. And some of these stories are going to come to our radio stations, and these accounts sometimes touch. And we would like to see, given that we're in such a position that is handling these migrants, or the migrants. Okay, who are coming back? Okay, our colleagues returnees from work abroad. Okay, everyone wants to go abroad, but some of these issues are made the news lately, and it would be important to help give a perspective on these kind of issues that are obtained, that you have been able to look at. Briefly mentioned them, but these are the stories that our colleagues face, and are that good. Even some of these might want to go and work in these countries. But the issue is, what are those challenges that you have seen, and how can the work of Symposium, like these leaders now that we have about 50 of them, can do to reduce human trafficking, which is happening? Thank you.
Thank you for that question. The issues of Middle East and labor externalization, we could talk and talk for a whole week, and plus those are things I've continuously briefed. But I'll just go through just a couple of things. So labor externalization is not human trafficking. So sometimes people mix up, those issues. There are challenges that somebody can get at the workplace, which are not necessarily human trafficking. So human trafficking is where you're recruited, for purposes of exploitation. Like I said, words matter. So sometimes even the media mixes the things up. So yes, human trafficking happens. But one thing I've seen through all the work I've done on counter-trafficking, the kind of people who are, the majority of people trafficked to the Middle East are women. And over 98% of the women are single mothers. The reason for their going abroad, many have told me, is to take care of their children. The children have been abandoned by the men in their lives. Those are boyfriends or husbands. Some are running away from domestic violence. So to sort out the issues of the Middle East, we first have to sort out the issues we are doing to the women in our own country. That people should be responsible for the reasons why these women are leaving. Because the majority are not leaving because they are excited to go and do domestic work. So before we export our challenges, asking of the Middle East to deal with that why are you doing this to our women? We should first question on why are we doing this to our girls, such that they are fleeing and leaving home to go abroad. That is one key thing I learned, and that's over 98% of them. And with, like I said, there's a difference between labor externalization and trafficking. And the majority in the work I've been doing of the people trafficked don't actually go through, there are people who have gone through recruitment agencies, but there are not as many as people who have gone through the biggest recruiters for victims of trafficking are mainly friends and family. That is in my experience and the work I've been doing, because the work I was doing, I was monitoring, overseeing, and coordinating all counter-trafficking work, in the country, working with 14 ministries, departments, and agencies, with NGOs and development partners. And so I was able to see that landscape, and the statistics don't lie. And I also see, when you talk about the media, the sensational, people like to read what is much more exciting. Domestic trafficking, for example, is more than trafficking abroad. What we do to our domestic workers, the ones people call house girls, the challenges they face are more. I keep telling people, for example, all of us in this room, if we brought all our domestic workers, our housemaids, and we tell them to line up and tell us what is happening in our homes, we'll get shocked. Some don't eat the same food that we eat.
Yeah.
Some of us are employing children. Some of us, they have to keep at home when we go to work. Some of them are not paid. Some of them, we deceived their parents that we are going to send them to school. But when we discuss issues of domestic trafficking, people will say that, oh, one journalist one time even told me that, you know what, they rather suffer from here, but not outside. That is a wrong attitude. First preach, you don't export your challenges. First deal with what we are doing here so that it informs other people that, oh, look how we treat them. So treat them also in such a manner. So yes, I want to encourage you, those who are interested in counter-trafficking work, go deep, talk to the survivors. They will tell you that even before they left, that's why when they come back, there's even a challenge on their reintegration. And much as, yes, it is right that we have to challenge people in the Middle East whereby our girls especially are being mistreated, but we also have to challenge that in our own, communities. So both ways. And to know that we report, these stories responsibly while respecting these women, and to prepare even our families to receive them. Because some of them, when they come back, even with their challenges, the families tell them, where have you come back? They expect them to come back with money. And they give so much pressure, for them to leave the country, to do other work instead of remaining home. That attitude, thinking that, everything out there is better than what we have in our homes, is the attitude we have to change. And we have to keep continuously create good environments, so that we can live in harmony in our own countries. Sorry, yeah, because when you talk trafficking, I usually go, overboard because those are areas I'm really passionate about. Thank you for your question.
There is one more question, and then we separate. Thank you, Madam Agnes, for those good words. I'm Adinda Lady, Councillor at the Town Council. My concern is some of the youth face a challenge of gender equality when working in their communities. When they want to access some information, people just refuse to give them the right information just because of their gender. Madam, what should we do with it? Thank you.
Can you, Professor, I didn't hear that all. I just heard about people not giving people information because of their gender.
Yeah, she said there's gender inequality in communities, and some people fail to give others information just because of their gender.
I mean, that's already a story right there. Write about it. That's already a story. Eh? Write about it. And the voice of women. So it's not beyond just giving information, but also other things that women, are facing because of their gender. That's a very rich story. Let the public know. Then it also shape attitudes, because some people just look at women as people maybe who can't report. Maybe it is a male-dominated what? It's an opportunity to open their eyes. Talk about it on the radio. Get some of your colleagues. That is the radio stations in the language people understand. So that they can believe in more female voices in the community. That's what I would say. That's a great story for you to start with, and make sure that you're reporting objectively. You're not pointing fingers, because that person also needs to be informed, because they may be talking out of ignorance, because some of these gender things are structured. They grew up seeing that and not believing, that women can also go to the community and can be given information. So don't judge, but just be like you're the one offering, information. You'll be surprised that person will become your ally as you move forward.
Wow. Thank you very much, Agnes. We are going to have to end this session here. And we are really, really grateful for you taking time off. It's not very easy, given your busy schedule, to speak to us and to speak to our young people, to give us the courage to move on. We need this more, and we hope that you can always have more time. You're asking for more, yes, to interact and to guide and to mentor the youth that we work with. We're sure that from here, there will be much more that we can achieve. We shall take in so much of your counsel and also encourage the youth to take the correct path. And maybe just before I read, human trafficking is something that we've also handled during our trainings. We've done that through showing a film that I think you've also watched before, The Roots by Giant Maru. We've showed that to our trainees during the trainings and the evenings, just to show them about some ills that happen to themselves in the communities where they come from. So we are trying to take that seriously and also to ensure that youth are really empowered and able to detect some of the ills that may befall them while they do their work. So thank you again. A big applause for Agnes.
Thank you very much, and I wish you well. Enjoy Ginger, and I hope that next time I'll be there in person. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, we wish you a good day. All right, so yes. Did you have a question for me, for Agnes, for the youth, for the leaders? Clarification? Okay.
Good afternoon, then. Yeah, my name is Roger Alva. I'm working in the as deputy news editor. When I was listening to Agnes' story, she looked about some issues that I understand, like the pitch the story. How do you pitch the story? The stuff that are needed to be in your story. Sometimes we throw out because they don't have news values. But how do you pitch a story? For example, you're working on a story concerning land grabbing. But do you know the people that are needed in that story? If I noted about conspiracy, we don't want allegations, but we work with facts. So if you're working on your stories, please always avoid conspiracy theory. As you go in the field, remember, use act is there. So, my brothers and sisters, always be careful with that.
I'm going to allow anyone to speak now. But you know that we have this afternoon here, because I'm coming here to next presentation. So I'd like us to close this session, go for lunch, and then we come back. But remember, in the morning, Michael will hear from ABS. You know the person responsible for drawing down your story. So you And explain some more. Yeah. So ask all those questions why you still are not getting there. We need answers. So I will take the request that we break up for lunch now. If